Nathalie.
How are you?
I'm good this evening, thank you. How are you?
I am really good, and I'm also excited about this interview because I've been watching you and you and Gaby, of course, which we won't name enough. He's not here tonight, but this is about you and Gaby and the amazing success that that you're having with your business. And so I've been wanting to do this interview forever, so I'm very happy that we're doing it.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm always happy to chat.
Great. Okay. So we're going to start with a quick bio because some people might not know who you are yet. And then we're going to dive in the questions. This is a success story interview. We said that we started this new type of interviews, I think, last 2 weeks ago. And the topic about those interviews is really diving in your business, seeing how you brought this business to become the successful business that it is today, and looking more at the entrepreneur side of the Jewish women entrepreneur. So that's the type of interview that we're in. And I'm going to start with your bio, and then we're going to dive right into questions. So Melissa is the CEO and owner of Pack for Camp, an online concept store since 2017. Pack for Camp revolutionized, yes, I said that right, the way moms shop for their children's summer camp and gap year via her one-stop shops. Melissa knows how difficult and time-consuming it can be to fill your packing list. She uses her life experience combined with modern technological innovations to make your shopping experience as quick, easy, and enjoyable as possible. Melissa lives in Modi'in in Israel with her partner in business and in life, Gaby Fachler, and their 4 children. So listening to that, we're like, okay, Melissa is the CEO, Pack for Camp. That's nice. If I ever need to send my kids to camp or to gap year, I'll make sure to look for Pack for Camp on the internet. But who would know that you and Gaby have doubled your revenue and that you are a multiple 6-figure business owner today? I know you're making that face, right?
A shy face.
Oh, I know. We don't like to talk about numbers, but this is the place where we talk about numbers because this is so impressive. So multiple 6-figure business, hired a team of more than 5 people, and all of that in 1 year, right? So everyone, this is who we have here on the podcast. Okay, so I just want everyone to understand that this is not always the case, right? Not everyone does that in 1 year. And my first question to Melissa is, how do you think that you were able to achieve that in 1 year, to go from I think you doubled your revenue and you became a multiple 6-figure business owner, and you went from 0 people in your team, you were 2 people, the co-founders, to more than 5 people. So tell us, what is the secret? How did you achieve that?
Okay, so first I'm going to correct you because to say that you do anything in 1 year, I think is a little bit of misleading. Because it's kind of sounds like on February 27th last year, I woke up in the morning, I made this business, and today I'm a multi-trillionaire, which is wonderful. But it's a lot of work. It's work. We're starting our 6th year of business. So it's step after step and brick after brick. And, our success came last year, and I think it was a combination of several things. First of all, Corona affected us in a bad way, like it did for a lot of people. In 2020, when it first started, we were selling to lots and lots of campers going to camp in America, and 3/4 of those camps did not happen that year. And that led to several things. First of all, it led us to expand our Pack for Israel business, which was for gap year students, which they were coming even more that year. So it allowed us to focus on that. But also to look for other revenue streams at the same time. It also kind of put us back a little bit. We kind of thought that 2020 was the breakout year. That was the year we were going to double and triple and quadruple, but we had to have patience and we had to wait. The other thing that we had to do, Nathalie, was to start working with you. And I think, one of the things, lots of things worked well because we love working with you. But a lot of it is obviously our own work as well. Was that we really thought of ourselves as like a little home business. Gaby and I were working together. We worked from our house. We still work, our offices are still in our house. I'm sitting in one of them right now. But everything that we owned for Pack for Israel also sat in our house with us. So Pack for Israel was in our machzan, our downstairs kind of storage room, and in our living room when we needed to pack. And I was the packer and Gaby was the driver. So it all works out really well. You get an order, you pack, you ship it out. So that was kind of what was in our mind. And I think that we spoke about the first time we met was that, we're this sweet little business. We want to make enough money to kind of cover our family needs. And it's the two of us. And we didn't want to go anywhere else. We were very happy being the two of us. So I think that was really one of the first steps, or one of the first big steps, was to work with you on changing our mindset, that we're not a little homegrown business. You can be, and that's fine. But if you want to grow, then you're going to need to scale. So, that kind of, idea all of a sudden, I think you introduced, it was new for us that we were going to maybe hire someone else to work for us. And it wasn't just going to be us anymore. So that was really one of the big things. I think, scaling and hiring really helped us to be able to break out of the mold where maybe we would have made a little bit more that year, another 20%, another 30%. But instead of that, we really were able to kind of say, hey, we're here to stay. And we're here in 2 different countries.
Right. Wow, I love that answer. And thank you so much for saying that about it didn't start a year ago, because I always point out when people say, overnight, making money overnight, or the miracle thing that's going to happen. And you're so right. It all started when you started the business and, working step by step. And I love also how you're not making like a fairy tale story. It's hard work. It's, it's Corona, it's ups and downs. It's, wondering what's going to happen if, things don't work out the way we want it. And you're right. It's not, at the end of the day, we look at the numbers, but it's not only around the numbers. It's also around all the work that was done before. And yes, the scaling. So you spoke about something, and this is a word I use a lot, and I know we spoke about it a lot. It's about the mindset, right? Mindset is, of course, not the only thing, but it is a lot of time what needs to be shifted in order to go to the next level. And so you said we shifted our mindset and we decided to hire. So I want to go a little bit more for our listeners, and also for the process that you went through, to explain what changed in your mindset around abundance, because I know that this is something that you worked on and also helped you, and also around the mindset to be the CEO of a company and not just, like you said, we're the two of us and we're doing everything ourselves. Can you go a little bit deeper around that?
Sure. I'm the child of business owners. So my parents have a business together. It's called Kosher Socks. I don't know if I can plug them here. They're only open in July and August upstate New York, and they're still doing it, 40 something years together doing this. And they did what was good for them. And I always would say to them, why don't you sell something that costs more money? Why are you selling socks or underwear? Why don't you sell fur coats? And that was the example, at the time in the 80s, that was okay to say that. Now it would be a joke. Maybe today it would be like, why don't you sell cell phones, right? Where you can make a lot more money per item. But that was, their kind of look on it. And that was the modeling that I had when we started the business. It was kind of like, well, what do they sell and how can we bring that online to the customers we want to bring it to? So it's obviously not the same. They're in a vacation area and we were online. So we're not in any specific area when we decided to say we're going to be focusing on camp. So come shop on our site if you're going to camp, not if you're shopping for something else. If you want to buy it, great. But if you're shopping for camp. So you mentioned the two kind of different mindsets, and I think one of them is really to take that kind of step back and become the overhead, the manager of your own company. You manage yourself. I mean, at the beginning, you're 2 people, so you could say, well, I'm the CEO, and I'm the VP of development, and I'm the VP of marketing, and I'm the whatever you want to call yourself. I'm the CFO. Gaby's the CFO. So we have lots of titles, but they're all us, right? So we're managing us. And the change was really to start thinking of yourself as I'm the CEO And these people that's all me right now, they actually could be other people. So, the CFO, still Gaby, but let's say it could potentially be someone else. And that's good for me. That's great for me, because all of a sudden we have an organizational chart instead of just saying, well, I pay the bills and you go buy the milk. So, he could be the chief coffee officer, but you know what I mean? We can also maybe one day have someone who comes in. We hired, the first hire that we did was a virtual assistant who works with us from the Philippines. And all of a sudden it was like this load off my shoulders that, hey, all these nitty gritty things that are time consuming, and you can do it all day. You can look at your inventory and prepare your bookkeeping all day or all month. And you never really get to the important things. And by paying relatively a small sum of money to someone else to do those reports for you, things that you don't like doing, or things that you feel like someone else could do just as good as you, or almost just as good as you, we're going to take those off of me so that I have more time to think about larger issues, larger things, not just ordering, let's say, backpacks for kids going, but to start looking out there, what types of bags are there? And it sounds little, and it sounds like, oh, of course, just go on the internet, but you have to find the time to do that. And don't forget, right? We're entrepreneurs by day and night, and then we're also moms and wives and community members, and you list all the things that we do, and they don't just disappear because you decided that you're going to be the CEO of your own business. And I would say on that note that at this time in our lives, we have 4 kids. My oldest is turning 18 next month, and our youngest is 8. We probably spend a full day dealing with family things of the 5-day work week.
Wow.
Which is a lot of time. And we know that, but one of the great things about being a CEO and not just being a schlepper is that you have that flexibility. You can say, okay, I need to take care of this today, and that's going to take me all day. And so today, for example, the first time I started working was when I started talking to you 12 and a half minutes ago, for example. And that's fine. And that's great because I have other people doing other things. So it doesn't mean that my website stopped working today. We had sales. I made money while I wasn't physically doing the work at this moment. So that's one thing. The other mindset that you mentioned is the abundance. I don't think I'm alone in saying that I grew up in a frugal household where, at least I'm the oldest child. So, you watch your parents' money for them, even if they never told you that was your job. So, I'm not going to go here because I don't want to ask them for $100, or, let's buy the brand, like the store brand, because it's cheaper. Doesn't matter if it tastes bad. It doesn't matter, anything like that. And it started way before business, was that Gaby, who is not at all thinking like that. He's very much some sort of abundance mindset, very generous personality. And I wouldn't say I'm not generous, but it was just not in me. I was kind of trained to be cheap, let's call it. It's not such a nice word, but that's how I was kind of grown up. And that's what you do, to say, you know what, hey, if I'm going to buy somebody something, you do it with all of my heart. And, and all of my wallet, however much money my wallet has. If you have 20 shekels, so you do that. And if you can afford 100 or 1,000 or 1,000,000, I hope one day, that will be very nice birthday gifts. But applying that to the business, though, because it's easier to do at home when you decide I'm going to buy this tuna, not that tuna. But I think it's much harder with the business. I think it's, when you have returns, let's say, and someone comes to you and just says, I want to return this, and it's very easy to take it personally, like, oh, you don't want my product. What did I do wrong? Who am I? And to really just step above that and to look down and say, there's a cost of doing business. And one of the costs is returns with products. And I read something recently, I forget, it was on one of the Facebook groups I'm on, where somebody had a podcast about when you're giving services, which is a different level of, if they ask for a refund and you gave a service, how not to take that personally. But even with product, hey, my product is good. What do you mean it has a hole? No, show me a picture or show me this. You do your due diligence, because, there are people out there trying to scam you. But as soon as you realize that you're dealing with a person who's, they got what they wanted, but there's something wrong with it, wrong color, or had a rip, I don't know, whatever it is. And find that if you say, sure, you know what, would you like your money back, or can I send you a new bag? You've bought a customer for life, instead of just somebody who, and all of a sudden sometimes screaming at you and saying, this is such bad quality and it costs so much money. All of a sudden they have a big smile and they're recommending you to all your friends. So I mean, that was really one of the realizations which comes out of it, where it's worth it to be a business owner with an abundance mindset, because you get much further. And you even find, like, you want to make mistakes or you want to send the wrong thing, so they can ask you, and then you can show how generous you are, how abundant you are, because that's a lot more memorable than if they get their bag and everything was fine.
Right. No, I love that. And it's really going into the resolution that, that we don't see from the outside, right? Because you're the business owner, and, we just see the website, we just see what's working. But obviously there's so many things in the back office that you have to work on, and mindset is definitely a good one. But I think that what you're showing here is that it's in the beginning, from the beginning, it's a decision that you made. It's a decision that you made. I'm going to be the CEO of my company. I'm going to have an abundance mindset. It just doesn't happen overnight, but it is a decision that you make to go into that direction. And I think with your journey, we can see the results. We can see the return on investment working on the mindset, even though it doesn't sound like, you worked on marketing or you did all those things. And mindset sounds like it's a very, behind the scene kind of thing, but it is where everything starts, and it is a decision. I think the way you described it, we see how, yes, we decide the mindset, and then the rest follows. So you spoke about mindset, and you also spoke about other revenue streams. You spoke about how you expanded your business to other revenue streams, and that's definitely part of scaling, right? Because scaling is, yes, we start by becoming the CEO, we hire, we didn't talk about it, but we also create the systems, and I know you created a lot of systems to be able to have your team work more efficiently, and so that's also part of the scaling. But another part of scaling is also expanding to other revenue streams. You had one revenue stream, and then you decided to open up. So can you explain to us not only the other revenue streams, but also the fact that your business model was very seasonal, because camp happens in the summer. And so you had like a part of the year where theoretically you wouldn't make any money. So you had to compensate for that. Can you explain to us how you managed all that?
Sure. So first of all, the as I mentioned, we have the pack for camp, which is seasonal. Camp is June, July, half of June, July, and August in the States. And we have pack for Israel. They started kind of around the same time, but as I said, pack for Israel kind of started as a baby sister, because we were here, so we know how to get things to people, so we'll just do it here also. And once we realized that first of all could expand our season, so if they go to camp in mid-June, they're buying from somewhere around mid-April, and then if they're coming to Israel in September, it was a way of making the year longer. So instead of just selling things from April, let's say, till the end of July, all of a sudden we could start selling things for Israel, let's call it the beginning of July through September. So that was really one of the first things. But as I mentioned, it took the Corona hit for us to really kind of focus on that as well. But another thing that happened that again was going on before, but during Corona really kind of came out, was that we work with camps. We partner with camps to get to their customers, basically. And the two ways we do it, one way is to computerize their packing lists exactly kind of one-to-one to what we're selling on the site. So if you're going to camp X, you come on the site for camp X packing list, and you as a mom can really just check down the list and say, I want 2 of these or 1 of these, or I don't need that. I have that from last year. Add everything to the basket and check out literally in 10 minutes. Or you can, if you love shopping, you can browse for 3 months and just finally buy it at the end. Right. But the other part of it was working with the camps and selling spirit wear, logo wear, all sorts of items, starting with sweatshirts and t-shirts with the camp logos on it, but, onto all sorts of toiletry bags and laundry bags and what have you, all sorts of things that they'd want to buy. People are very proud of their camp in America. Like, I go to Camp Moshava, or I go to Camp Stone, or and so they're happy, and the camps love it, that they're going to be wearing that t-shirt all year round, or that sweatshirt. So the camps we found together with them a model that worked very well, where we print on demand, which means that the camp doesn't have to buy any inventory in advance. When someone orders, that item then gets printed with the logo that we have the picture of, but we don't carry any stock. No one has to pay for anything that wasn't sold. And then obviously the customer pays for it. So there's no outlay from our perspective or from the camp's perspective, except for the time, obviously, of putting the stores together. So that also became very attractive during Corona, because camps weren't happening and the camps wanted to keep some sort of connection with their campers. So what better than having the Rama stay-at-home t-shirt, or the, whatever it was, things like that, or let's send everybody a bandana with the camp logo. Right. So that was really something we developed during the Corona time, and we've continued that on afterwards, because it's really a great way to get to lots of campers by going to the camps themselves.
Right. Wow. So that's really about brainstorming, about observing how your market works, your industry, being really connected with your strategic partners. And that's how you turned a very seasonal business that was working 2 months in the year into something that is working many more months, and where you could have more revenue streams. Wow, that's amazing. And today you're managing 2 brands, 2 revenue streams. And like we said, you have your multiple 6-figure business, and you have your team, and your CEO mindset, your abundance mindset. And you mentioned that we started working together a year ago, right? Mm-hmm. I love working with you guys. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to see you, because everything that we talk about, it's not, I feel like you're like a sponge. You're absorbing everything, and you're like always, ready to learn, always ready to implement. But I would love for you to go a little bit more into details and to say what in the program, whether it was working with me or with the group, or what is in this, the whole ecosystem that the Born to Do Business program is. What did you feel that really helped you in getting to where you are today?
Okay, so I'll mention first the group. Now that we're in the program for over a year, things have changed slightly, but I will say that from the start, being with a group of like-minded people is really great. I mean, we're 2 people, so we have each other to bounce ideas off of, and I think when you're a solopreneur, it's even more so pronounced, that you come to a place where you don't have to explain what you're talking about very much, and everyone's happy to, say how wonderful you are on the one side, but also really kind of help you out. And you also feel like when you're talking about any certain topic, that people relate to you and you relate back to them. So I think that group dynamic is really, really great. And I think, Nathalie, you as a group, what will we call it, facilitator, does a really good job of pulling that together, because I think that not everybody can pull that off. But when you have, let's say, a matchmaker with a Pack for Camp people, with an artist, I don't know what else, in the same kind of room, and you're able to find that connection between, that we're really kind of dealing with the same things all the time. That it's not just well, this must be your problem and no one else has ever heard of it, but rather we're talking about something on a global scale, that business owners deal with a lot of the same challenges and a lot of the same things. So that's, from the group aspect. I think also with the we met with you every single month. Now it's a little bit less, it's quarterly, but really, when you come to a session like that of, I know I have 60 minutes with my business coach and my mentor who I trust, and I'm probably going to listen to most of the things that she says and try to implement them. you sit down and you really think about what it is you want to spend your time talking about. It's kind of like if you were going to therapy and you come and you're like, well, I don't have anything to talk about today. Everything is great. So, bye, here's your money, so you don't do that. You really want to kind of come with, sometimes things kind of happen that morning. So, then you want to talk about it, but there's lots of themes that kind of come around. You mentioned marketing before, things that are more challenging because it's not your personality. Like I'm not a social media guru or anything like that, or things that I need help with, or things I think I can do better. And a lot of times we'd sit with you and you say, guys, that's not the problem. Let's talk about something else. And we came out, we're like, whoa, that's amazing. So you mentioned the mindset already. I think that was one of the big things was to work with the mindset. Really the scaling, really the hiring, I think was the next step was to say, we need a VA. And I think we turned around in like 3 or 4 weeks and we had a VA all of a sudden working for us. And when we hired, it was, for 5 hours and we had her full time within 2 months. I mean, now she's back down to 5 hours because we're still off season, even though, that sort of thing. But we did go through a period where we built up our own warehouse and had workers that were working in the warehouse. I mean, things have changed a little bit and we're in a logistics center now, but I'm still managing them. So, we have a team and now we have 2 social media people who are working for us. And, it's all these things like just this expansion because you're constantly reinventing your CEO mindset because it gets bigger and it's bigger and it's bigger. And you keep thinking like, well, if I pay this person a salary and this person, then I'm obviously going to have less money and somehow you have more money, and it's kind of like things that you don't quite get your head about so quickly. So I think those are all really important, important things and skills and, just ways to think about things otherwise that we wouldn't have necessarily thought before. I asked Gaby today, I said, where would we have been if we never went to Nathalie? And he said, we would have been fine. Like we would have still had a business and we would have grown it. It would never have grown that much. But he mentioned the hiring really as that big game changer that, it's not just the 2 of us. It's now the 6 of us or the 8 of us. I can't even count because we work with 2 logistics centers. So we actually probably have like 50 people working on our stuff, but I don't manage them obviously.
Right. No, I love what you're saying because it is definitely a partnership, right? It's not magic. Like you come to a program and things happen and, you don't do anything and everything is solved. It's obviously a lot of work. And like you said, it's also being prepared and coming with the right question. But I think that this partnership, when you have this connection where one side has, as far as I'm concerned, the outside look. I think that this is what it brings, right? It brings the outside look from, of course, my experience, my expertise, and, the years that I've been doing that. And you being open to, seeing that and hearing that and saying, okay, I'm ready to implement. And then we see the results. So it's really the fruit of a partnership. So let me ask you one last question because we're getting to the end of our fascinating interview. Oh, I know it's half an hour. We have to stick to the time. But if, I'm thinking about someone comes to you and say, I'm thinking of, onboarding to this program, the Born to Do Business program. And I'm not sure, I'm hesitating. It is money, it is time, it is, work. What would you say to them if you would have to say, to tell them whether or not to join the program?
I would say that if you're at the right part of your business where you're ready to invest in yourself, it's not just money. Forget the money. Money in the end is it's peanuts. I thought it was a lot of money also. It's like that's the scarcity mindset that I don't have money. So, I'm not going to buy the business course or the tuna. Right. But like, if you're really ready to make a big step forward and not just kind of creep along and that sort of thing. And you're ready to, it's the time, it's the energy, it's the willingness to come to as many things as you can. And, we meet a lot in the evening, which isn't so simple having kids. My 8-year-old goes to sleep way too late some of the nights that we meet because there's no one, we're both in the meeting and there's no one to put her to sleep. But that's a sacrifice. And I'm willing to do, I think the more you're willing to give of yourself, the more you're going to get out of the group. So, if I come and you say to me, I think you should do ABC in whatever way, and then I go home, I sleep on it and I forget, so then why bother? But, and I've said that, I've had this conversation with people of like, I want a business coach or I don't. And I said, you're going to work hard. You're really going to work hard. It's not just about like, oh yeah, magic, as you said, here's my magic wand. And now you're going to double your revenue in 1 year. Nathalie isn't going to double your revenue, but she'll help you see your potential and figure out how you can get as far as you can. But you need to be ready to do that. And you'll see that it's not the money, it's the energy, it's the time. It's really, it has to be the right time. Sometimes I'll say, you have to think about it. If you don't have the time right now, let's say you have 4 kids under the age of 5, it may not be the right time. You also might not have time for a business that doubles in a year. Or you're not quite ready. There are people they're just not ready yet. They're not ready. They haven't done as much as they can by themselves yet to feel like, okay, I'm ready. Because it's also not day one. I didn't come to you from day one saying, I've got this business idea. It took us a while to kind of get to where we could get to on our own, to then feel like we can really benefit from working with someone who can kind of look at it from the outside and kind of help us to decide which direction to go in and where to invest the time and the thoughts and the money.
Yeah. Definitely. And listen, I've been saying no to people who I felt were not, at the right time, like you said, or not ready to invest. And like you said, it's not just about the money, because the money is something you have or you don't have, but you invest. The time and the energy, on the other hand, is something that you really have to make sure that you're ready to put in. So I love that. I think that it's exactly what people need. I'm so happy that we are on this journey together. Yeah, I can't wait to see. I already want to schedule an interview for next year and just like already have
next year. Let's do it in 3 months, Nathalie.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, to see how you progress from 1 year to the next, and to be able to announce, more, great news, because I'm sure that I can see how your business is really going to not only grow, but also what's beautiful is to see you grow as people, because the business is growing, of course. But what's amazing about being an entrepreneur is really how we change, how we evolve, how you've learned, how you've been open to other things. And this is what fascinates me, at least. So I love seeing that.
I'll say one more thing also. It's that, the whole thing, what I was mentioning about the money and investing the money in yourself and in your business. But sometimes there are things that just seem illogical, but you have to kind of go with it because it makes sense. So I'll just give a quick example, is that when you choose your target group or your niche audience, it seems like that's so dumb. I could be selling to everybody going to camp in the entire world. Like, why wouldn't I want to do that? And then when we kind of sit down and say, well, we're selling to Jewish moms in America with kids going to camp or to gap year, and then all of a sudden it all makes so much more sense because I know who to talk to. When I spoke with you a little bit about the bio, and I wrote, that I revolutionized, whatever, I can't say the word either, the way moms shop for their children's summer camp. I didn't say dads or parents. I don't have apologetics. Dad, you're welcome to shop. I'm not saying you can't shop if that's how it works. Some dads do shop. But I know who we're talking to. I mean, if 98% of your customers are women, so let's put it on the table. We're selling to women. So there's a lot of those things, these kind of like nuances, and it really helps to put your head on straight, and realize that though it looks like you're narrowing, you're actually really expanding.
Yes. I know we've had a lot of conversations on that. That's why I'm smiling, because it is difficult to grasp or to intuitively buy into this. But it's the whole topic around the bright shiny object, right? Like being always attracted by this thing and this thing, and this is who we are as entrepreneurs, right? We like creativity, we like variety, right? So having someone to talk to is really helping. And listen, I'm saying that to you, and I have the same for me, so everyone needs their own eyes from outside. So it's really amazing. Thank you so much, Melissa, for this not only sharing, but also being very generous about how you explain, and how I know that it's important for you to that other people also are successful in their business. And I know you're always ready to answer questions and to speak to people on the phone and to help. And that is not really, not to take for granted. So thank you so much for being being who you are. Thank you for Gaby also, who we send our big regards to, and can't wait for our next interview to say amazing things that are going to happen to Pack for Camp and Pack for Israel.
Thank you so much. I love, as you know, I love talking to you. So, public television, even better.
Amazing. Thank you, Melissa. Bye everyone, and see you next week for another episode of the Jewish Women Entrepreneurs Podcast. Bye.